I applied for 15 Spanish-speaking jobs and uncovered something life-changing. Getting a job as a native English speaker in a Spanish-speaking country is easier than you might think, and you're not going to believe the simple steps that you can take to get started doing this today. Also, do you really know how simple it is to get a visa to a Spanish-speaking country? Today, I'm going to reveal the secret to getting a job in a Spanish-speaking country, even if your Spanish is less than optimal. And I'm going to give you the exact interview questions that I discovered on each one of my job interviews over the past 2 months. Learn these responses and learn these questions, and you'll be well on your way to getting the job of your dreams. But to help you understand this better, we need to go back to the beginning. In 2015, I was living in the United States and I was absolutely bored of it. I wanted to go out and explore the world. So I found a job teaching in China, and that is where I decided to go. I started a blog and started to write all about everything I was doing there, and I quickly found out something extremely interesting. Most people cared more about Latin America than China. So that's when I realized I was going about my videos in completely the wrong way. So I decided to change the focus of my videos and change the focus of my blog to help you guys get a job in a Spanish-speaking country, because this is the powerful secret to learning a second language. Being able to communicate with people face to face, just like you do with English speakers every single day. So, welcome to this video, the one that I ended up making. I'm going to show you exactly where to look to find a job that guarantees to make your heart jump, put you within arm's reach of the Amazon, or a short cable car ride up to the top of a snow-covered mountain, where you can feast your eyes on breathtaking views, and I'm going to show you how to do it without spending even a penny. See if you can guess from this short clip where you think she is living and how much money it cost her to be able to move to this country. Let me know in the comments your answers below. It's been scientifically proven that the girl you just saw in this video, her language skills are going to boost dramatically in as little as a week. So getting a job for this girl was probably a little bit simple. She probably had a strong base for Spanish already. So where did she look to find this job if her Spanish was already good? And what juicy perks did she receive by applying for this job and actually getting hired? And how do you think this affected her overall language skill the longer that she's lived in the country? So for starters, a big perk is that she's probably living in this country and not paying anything in income tax to the country that she's native to. And come on, let's be serious. Who doesn't want to keep some more money in their pockets? Now, the question you're probably dying to know is, did it cost her an arm and a leg to actually move to this country? Let's go ahead and see what the true cost of moving to a country like this might be for you. Spoiler alert! It cost her absolutely nothing to move to this country and start living there. I'm talking like $0, 0 cents, no money out of pocket. All she did was apply for a job and she was up and ready to go. I'm sure you want to know how you can get a job like this as well without paying anything out of pocket. But a lot of people aren't sure of where to look for this. But before you can apply to a job in a Spanish-speaking country, you need to know how to pass that interview. And I'm going to tell you exactly what to learn and what to say when you're in a job interview to guarantee that you bag the job of your dreams. And just to make sure the questions that I'm asking in this video are accurate, I'm going to be interviewing 5 of my closest Spanish-speaking friends. And if the questions in these videos are not super helpful, I'm going to remake this video. So let's suppose you've gone online, you found the job that you want, you have an interview for it. The first question the interview is guaranteed to ask you, which can either end the interview almost immediately or keep this interview going: ¿Cómo te enteraste de la plaza?
¿Cómo te enteraste de la plaza?
You'll need to express how much you care about the job and be able to explain why you are looking for this type of employment. If you can't do this, the employer is going to assume that you don't know anything about the position and you are just chasing the dream of living abroad in a different country. Get ready to tell the employer what you think about the company and elaborate on where you found the job for the ad. Here, the company wants to know a little bit more about why you have a strong interest in this position. When you apply for a position, if a friend has recommended you, that gets your foot in the door. The interviewers are going to assume that they already have a connection with you in some way. So the best way to go about answering this question is to say that your friend told you. And if you want to say this in Spanish, you're going to reply, "Me lo recomendó un amigo que trabaja para ustedes." And that is going to mean, my friend who works for you told me about the position. Can you imagine how magnetically powerful this is? If you are going into a position for a Spanish-speaking job, you already understand the role, you already understand everything that they could ask you to do, and you're even upping the ante by saying, hey, I already know someone who works here. This is incredibly powerful, and this is a question that you're definitely going to be able to answer and elaborate on if you learn how to respond to this. Can you imagine how incredibly powerful it is for you to go into an interview knowing exactly what to say, and even telling the interviewer, hey, I already know someone who works here. They're going to assume that you're in good company, and they're going to assume that they can trust you to do the job, especially if they think favorably of the person who recommended you for the position. But we all know it's not super simple just to say, hey, I know someone who works here. Instead, the people might be more interested in how you are as a person and what your specific skill set is. Could you imagine walking into a job interview and saying, oh, I want this job because I think it's interesting? That's not going to work. Nobody cares. They want to know how you are going to benefit the place that you are applying for. So the next question that they're going to ask you is, ¿Por qué te interesa este trabajo?
¿Por qué te interesa este trabajo?
This is basically the interviewer saying, persuade me, make me want to work with you. And there's a couple things you can do here in response. The first thing is to be very charismatic. Whenever you show that you're excited with this job interview, the people that are interviewing you are also going to get excited. You're going to release dopamine in the brain, and that in turn is going to make them happier to hire you. The next crucial step is to answer this question as clearly and accurately as possible. You could say, este trabajo me va a dar más experiencia laboral. This job is going to give me more experience. You could also say, este trabajo me va a permitir mejorar mi español. Many native Spanish speakers are going to get absolutely fanatical if you're putting in the time and effort to learn Spanish. So assuming you already have a certain level of Spanish, you could very well answer this question with this response. And it's going to show the people you are very dedicated to learning Spanish. But this is not always going to prove that you have the abilities you need to do the job. So make sure when you respond to this question, you show that you have a deep interest. Este trabajo me va a permitir mejorar mi español. That's going to show that you have an interest in their language, which is going to make a personal connection, but you need to follow it up and say, me gusta el trabajo, ¿por qué? And here you can put whatever you want. Me gusta el trabajo porque la compañía es muy buena. Me gusta el trabajo porque me gusta cocinar. Whatever you choose to put here, you need to elaborate a little bit more instead of just saying, I want this job to help me get better at Spanish. I'm sure you've heard the next question when you have been in an English-speaking interview, and this one is really going to give the people a great idea of who you are, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. ¿Cuáles son tus fortalezas y debilidades? The person here is asking a little bit more than just about what you can do. They are asking your opinion of yourself, so it's very important that you feel very confident in the position that you're applying for and you're able to express this. They want to know your level of self-awareness and if you're able to catch your downfalls and shortcomings, because that means you can create an action plan to get better at them. How can we answer this question in Spanish without automatically disqualifying us from the role? You need to be honest and tell the interviewer the truth. You could say something like, mi español no es tan bueno, pero quiero mejorarlo en esta posición. Mi español no es muy bueno, pero quiero mejorarlo. Your Spanish is not at a great level and you recognize it. And if you're moving to a Spanish-speaking country and trying to get the position of your dreams, the chance of a lifetime to be able to go abroad without spending any money, you need to learn how to master this question. Let's assume the job interview is going fantastically and the person you're speaking to is very happy and interested in having you as the person to take over this role. What could you say when you find yourself in such an optimal condition to actually get the job of your dreams and be able to see the world without paying a dime? The next question you could hear is, ¿Cuándo podrías empezar? And this means, when can you start the position? If you're very interested in the role, you want to answer this question ecstatic. So if it's feeling like you're going to get the position and you really want to accept it, when somebody asks you this, you can reply by saying, ¿Puedo empezar inmediatamente? And this is going to tell them you're very zealous about getting the position and you're very excited to start the role, because you're saying here, I can start immediately. Sometimes people can't start immediately though, and we should never put ourselves out there in front of someone else. So if you want to delay the starting time, you could say, Puedo empezar en 2 semanas. I can start in 2 weeks. And for this number, you can replace any number you want. Puedo empezar en 3 semanas. Puedo empezar en 4 semanas. Or, on the same token, puedo empezar en un mes. If you're not planning on starting within a month, maybe you shouldn't apply for the position unless you're just trying to get your feet wet. It's always a good experience to try interviewing in a different language, especially if your level is intermediate or lower. It gives you a lot of experience, and I cannot express to you guys the number one most important habit that you can develop in learning a second language: putting yourself out there to learn the language, putting yourself out there to try your best. And don't expect everybody to think that your Spanish has to be perfect. Whenever we're speaking Spanish as a second language, comprehension is what we're going for. We want people to understand us, and we want to understand them. They're not going to laugh at you or make a mistake if you say something incorrectly, because they know this is your second language. Probably still wondering, what do I have to do? Where do I look? How can I apply for this position and actually be able to move abroad paying nothing more than maybe a visa? There are a couple of different places you can look, and I'm going to show you my most favorite resource. Now, this resource is specifically tailored to teachers. So if you're not an English teacher, you might have to apply for a TEFL certificate, but I promise you they're very simple to obtain. All you have to do is take an online course, and I will link some of my favorites below. The website Teachaway is full of positions teaching English around the world. So you can actually apply for a position and they will give you a monthly salary. You won't have to pay to go there, and you won't have to pay to come back. Most of the positions here are going to give you face-to-face time with native Spanish speakers because you're living in the country. They're going to give you a free flight to and from the country of your choice, and once you get there, they'll even pay for your housing and accommodation. And if you find a really good place to work, they'll even pay for some of your food every month. So it allows you to go to expose people to your culture, meanwhile you're exposed to theirs. Boost your Spanish speaking skills, and also get to see the world for free. It sounds like a win-win, doesn't it? Let me know in the comments if this is something that you would like to do in the future. If you're going to apply for one of these positions in a Spanish-speaking country, you need to know how to answer all of these interview questions. What good is the job interview if you actually can't apply for the position because your Spanish responses in the interview were not good? Before it gets started, the interview could even end. Make sure that you practice these Spanish interview questions. I'm linking in the description a workbook that you can use that's going to give you a whole list of Spanish interview questions. All you got to do is download it, practice it at home, and practice writing your questions. And I will see you guys in the next video.